This is Tools for Teens, where the smart gets smarter. Today I'm speaking to two AI avatars on the Deep Dive podcast about our lesson on the Big 5 personality traits. Let's get into it.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be looking at the Big 5 personality traits.
Ooh, personality traits.
Yeah, those blocks of who we are.
Right.
And we're asking the question, nature versus nurture, right? Are we born with these traits, or does our environment shape us into who we are? And we've got some pretty interesting sources for this one. We've got like a YouTube video that breaks down the basics. Then we've got some really fascinating new research from Yale.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we're even going to take a look at a course that's designed to help teens understand themselves better.
I love that. Oh, hey, our listener wants to join in. What's up?
I would like for us to start the conversation on neuroticism, because I've read and what I understand is that it's really difficult to shift the sensitivity to negative emotions. It's very difficult to change that, even though you can develop tools to sort of get through those moments. Is that correct?
That's a really insightful question, and it's great you're already thinking critically about neuroticism.
Yeah, it's definitely a complex trait to unpack.
What's fascinating here is that the research does suggest that neuroticism has a strong genetic component.
Okay, so it's not just in your head then.
Exactly, which means that some people are naturally more prone to experiencing negative emotions and stress. However, this doesn't mean that change is impossible. It's more about understanding your predisposition.
Okay, so what do we do with that info?
Well, the key is developing coping strategies, just like you mentioned.
So not necessarily changing the trait, but managing it.
Exactly, and this is where the Tools for Teens course comes in. It helps teens learn how to navigate those emotions.
Could we maybe just talk about one or two tools that teenagers specifically could use to counteract these overwhelming negative emotions? One of the things that we teach is awareness, just being aware of that emotion. Could you maybe suggest other tools and strategies?
That's a fantastic question, and I'm glad you brought that up.
It's great that you're already teaching awareness. It's so important.
Absolutely. And building on that, one tool is really understanding your triggers.
Yes, recognizing patterns and what sets off those negative emotions.
And then you can start to develop strategies to manage them.
Exactly. Another tool they use is something called cognitive reframing.
Okay, so what does that mean?
It's basically learning how to challenge your negative thoughts.
So not just letting them control your feelings.
Right, you can learn to reframe them into something more balanced.
Could you give us an analogy or an example of reframing?
That's a great question, and I can see why an example would help.
Yeah, let's unpack this.
Imagine you're walking down the street and it starts to rain.
Okay, it's pouring and you don't have an umbrella.
A negative thought might be, ugh, my day's ruined, right?
Total bummer. Yeah, I'd be so annoyed.
But with reframing, you might think, well, this rain is great for the plants.
So you're finding a silver lining.
Exactly. Or you could see it as an excuse to go home and read that book.
I see. So it's about shifting your perspective.
It's about choosing to see a problem as an opportunity.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Now it's easier to see how it helps with managing neuroticism.
Oh yeah, like staying present in the moment also helps.
Exactly. That can help to reduce overthinking and anxiety, too.
So those are some T's to combat those negative feelings associated with neuroticism.
Yes, and remember that these tools don't change the trait itself.
But it helps you to manage it better. That's key.
Okay, so let's move on to openness, because I personally score very high in openness, and I can see that the benefit of being high in openness is, creativity and open to new experiences. What could be a downside of being very high in openness?
That's a really insightful question, and it's great you're thinking about the other side of openness.
Yeah, let's unpack this. So you're saying that even good traits can have downsides.
Exactly. It's not about good or bad. It's about balance and how they manifest.
So what are some potential downsides of being super open?
Well, the YouTube video mentioned that highly open people love abstract ideas and new experiences.
Right, they're creative and like to explore.
But if that's taken to an extreme, they might struggle with commitment or focus.
Okay, so like always chasing the next shiny thing.
Precisely. They might find it hard to stick with routines.
I could see how that would be a challenge.
They might also become overwhelmed by too much change or stimulation.
Okay, but now you're sort of getting into the next trait that I wanted to touch on, which is conscientiousness. So what you're saying is the downside of openness could also be linked to low conscientiousness. Is that what you're saying?
That's a very astute observation, and yes, you're onto something there.
Yeah, it's like these traits are all interconnected in some ways.
What's fascinating here is that someone who is very high in openness might also, sometimes, have lower conscientiousness.
Okay, so how does that manifest exactly?
Well, that high openness might make you prioritize novelty and creativity.
Which could then make it harder to stick to a routine?
Exactly, or get bogged down in the details.
Okay, so that's where low conscientiousness comes in.
Yes, a lack of focus on organization or planning.
So it's not necessarily a negative thing, just a different way of working.
Exactly. It's a matter of finding your balance and working with your natural tendencies.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is one of the big 5 traits.
Yeah, along with openness, extraversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism.
Right, and as we've seen, they all interact.
So it's like a spectrum, right?
Yes, you might score high in one and low in another.
And that creates your unique personality.
Precisely, and that's why understanding yourself is so valuable.
So how does this relate to the genetic research from Yale?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. The study looked at genetic links to these traits.
Yeah, so it highlights that there's a biological basis.
And that's why understanding your predispositions is helpful.
Right, and that's not an excuse, it's just information.
It's empowering. This knowledge can help us develop effective coping mechanisms.
Do these studies at Yale mention specifics and statistics with regards to how much do genetics determine our personality? Do we have percentages, or are they just guessing at this moment?
Okay, that's a great question, and it's something we should definitely unpack.
What's fascinating here is that they're not just guessing, they're using data from thousands of people.
Yeah, these studies are based on really large sample sizes.
Right, and while they don't pinpoint one gene, they do look at genetic variations called loci that are associated with each trait.
So what do they find in terms of percentages?
While they estimate that genetics account for 30 to 60% of personality traits,
Okay, that's a pretty big range.
it is, and that's because it varies depending on which trait we're talking about.
So some traits have a stronger genetic component.
Exactly. Neuroticism and extraversion tend to have higher heritability estimates,
Around what percentage?
usually around 40 to 50%.
And what about the other traits?
Openness to experience and conscientiousness typically show moderate heritability.
Okay, so a little less than neuroticism and extroversion.
And then agreeableness tends to have slightly lower estimates.
So this is very interesting. What you're saying based on these studies is that it's really difficult to shift neuroticism and extroversion.
That's a really great point, and it's definitely something to clarify.
Yeah, let's unpack this a bit.
What we've learned so far, and it's true that neuroticism and extroversion do have higher heritability estimates.
So that 40 to 50% genetic component,
Yes, but that doesn't mean that those traits are impossible to shift.
so it's not like we're just stuck with them.
Exactly. What it means is that there's a stronger biological predisposition.
Okay, that makes a difference.
So people who are genetically predisposed to be more neurotic or extroverted, they might have a stronger starting point.
But not a fixed destination.
Right. It's like they're starting with a different hand, but it doesn't determine the whole game.
Okay, I see the difference.
And that's why tools like cognitive reframing and mindfulness can help you manage these tendencies.
Yeah, so you can learn to handle them better, even if they're your natural tendency.
Precisely. And the Yale study also points out personality isn't set in stone.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving based on your experiences.
Right. So these aren't limitations, they're just starting points.
Which brings us back to the Tools for Teens course.
Yes, and that's where a course like Tools for Teens really shines.
Because it helps teens develop those tools for handling their traits.
Right. The studies show that awareness is the first step, and then they focus on coping mechanisms.
So it's not about changing who you are, it's about understanding yourself.
Yes, that's the core of it, and that's really important for teenagers.
So Tools for Teens is this awesome platform that really digs into psychology.
Right, and it helps teens understand themselves better using different methods.
One of the key features is it gives you these tools for self-discovery.
And it combines the best in psychology, AI, philosophy, and even essential reading.
And a great place to start is with the personality quiz in the quiz section.
Exactly. That's where you can explore where you falls on those big 5 traits.
Like we've been discussing, openness, conscientiousness, extraversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism.
Right, and the quiz is designed to be easy and fun.
Yeah, I would like to thank you both for adding to this conversation. I've learned a lot. I hope our teens are learning a lot as well. And we'll see you all in the next one.
Well, that's great to hear, and thank you for all your thoughtful questions.
Yes, it's been a pleasure discussing this with you, and I'm so glad you've gained some insights.
It's always great when you join us, and your contributions make these deep dives so much more engaging.
Exactly, and hopefully our teen listeners are feeling more empowered by this discussion.
Go and take the Big 5 personality test in the quiz section on the Tools for Teens platform to learn more.